1964. The time that doctors had found that smoking was a killer. In spite, people had continued to smoke up to today. You know that smoking is terrible. I know that smoking is terrible. And so does the smokers. Yet, they still smoke. Smoking is sometimes a habit, sometimes a hobby, and sometimes the way of living. As one of the respondents had said, smoking is a psychological pleasure as well as a physiological satisfaction. Pleasure and satisfaction from smoking? I'm not so sure. But I do know that smokers can very much be satisfied for being one of the biggest manufacturers for smoke. Smokers, you just signed your death warrants. And once that's signed, it's the end of you. My thoughts for today is not to persuade you to quit smoking, but it's to persuade you to stop killing people who do not deserve to carry the huge burden of smoking right above their shoulders. It's so sad to say that research has generated enough evidence to state that secondhand smokers receive the same problems as direct smokers, such as lung cancer, emphysema, and premature deaths. To keep it clear, yeah, you are tearing away somebody else's happiness, making them have a struggle to breathe. I would like to share a true story from a young woman who had suffered the fate of secondhand smoking. Her name is Susie Oregon, and this is what she had to say. I was 5 years old when my daddy died of cancer of the nasal cavity, a smoker's cancer. He was 41 years old and left behind a young wife and 4 little daughters, ages 3 to 11. He had never touched tobacco. He did, however, work in a government office where everybody else smoked, according to my mother. I call it murder. Now, do you think that this young man had deserved to die? Do you think that his 4 little daughters deserve to say, I don't even have a dad, when they have to write a letter on Father's Day? As a U.S. surgeon named General Richard H. Carmona released an exhaustive scientific report concluding that there is no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Does this mean that when you come to a friend's house and you see somebody lighting up a cigarette, you should immediately dive through a window? No. That constitutes a larger health hazard. Obviously, the best thing to do is, if you are a smoker, is to stop. But if you are unable to quit smoking, at least refrain from lighting up a cigarette in your own house and around your family. At your apartment building, if your building does not have a non-smoking policy, you could point out to your landlord that a smoke-free building has lower maintenance and insurance costs. At your workplace, if your building is also not smoke-free, you can work with the management to create one. Obviously, the best thing to do is to live in a completely smoke-free environment. Sounds like a pipe dream, right? Well, some communities have enacted laws to realize this ideal. Before I leave, I want you to ask yourself this one question. What is better? Seeing people dying in a cloud of smoke, or seeing people filled with true happiness. Thank you.